Hello, everyone. Welcome to the
Hello.
stream.
Good evening.
We are doing a commentary of episode 1 tonight. So we're going to be streaming it on the screen and we're going to be talking over it. And if you've seen it before, obviously you'll want to hear us talking about it. And if you think, what the hell's going on? I want to watch this. Then you can go to YouTube, go to 2020rendezvous.com. You'll get all the links to YouTube for that. And you can watch all 3 episodes.
Hey.
Looking at this, like we look like the Brady Bunch.
Not the version I've got, we don't.
Oh,
It started already.
here we go.
The dodgy bunch.
So we're not
I like the Brady Bunch. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, we're not streaming this on YouTube. We're recording this, so I can put it out later, but we'll do a few hellos that I'll cut out for the YouTube one. So hello to Evelyn, hello to Brian, hello Gage, hello Donna, hello Jarrett, hello Barry with your organ, hello Jenna, hello Rebecca, hello Tim, hello Brian, and on my wall, hello Ian, hello Anne, hello Wolfgang.
Welcome.
If you write anything that's specific, to do with the episode, we'll chat about it if you want to ask any questions about the episode. But this isn't a normal sort of spadathon where we're just going to chat about everything and anything. We're going to keep it specific to the episode. So if we ignore you for that reason, we apologise, but bring it back up again on Sunday and we'll answer whatever.
Basically, can you all just be mature, please? I mean,
follow Ricky's example.
Follow
Us, Rick. Us.
Yeah.
Follow Ricky's example, yeah.
Yeah, take a leaf out of my book, please. Just be mature. All of this nonsense. I don't agree with it.
All this, filthy language.
Right, shall we do this then? I'm
Let's do it.
Streaming the episode off my computer behind me here.
I want to get in there first, though. Shut up, you cunt.
You already got one of those coming in a minute. Right, here we go. 2020 Rendezvous. And here's the strings from, of course, Thousand Things. Almost forgot the song title there.
Yeah. Good idea from me, I thought.
How did you come up with this
That
colour
was,
scheme,
actually.
Dave?
What's that?
The colour scheme of the text and stuff's really nice.
Oh, what, with the orange and the yellow? The yellow came from the Blur logo, as did the font was the nearest thing I could find to the Blur font. Oh, there we are on the A20.
There's my car.
There's your car. That's your
leaving?
car, Sean. I spent ages blurring all the number plates and everything in people's faces and having to do motion tracking and all of that. That took bloody ages.
Isn't there a guy fixing his car or something just in the background?
Yeah,
behind Ricky? And he's going, who are these idiots?
Just behind that fence was a little shortcut to the nearest town, wasn't it? And people were coming up to get coffee.
Kept walking through, and I was having to. You can see I blur out their faces and try to get it. The other thing, the one thing that annoys me here, is because we filmed it in October. You can see all the autumn leaves on the ground, and it's meant to be in March, which is.
Yeah. Well, you can see some greenery behind. That's it's close enough. I think.
Close enough for rock and roll.
We don't know.
I did colour up the trees a little bit.
Oh, you did.
Make
Okay.
them more green.
Would have done that with me fucking hair.
Made him green.
I tried to de-ginger you a bit, Rick. So we got that.
You failed miserably.
There's no software strong enough to handle that.
So we deliberately didn't shave and didn't wash our hair and didn't do anything to look dishevelled.
Tried to look as scruffy as you are when you wake up in the morning unexpectedly on tour, which sometimes happens. Passport control, and you get out looking like the living dead.
How we can enter any country at passport control when we've just woken up is I don't know how we do it.
Yeah.
It's a practice.
To be honest,
Zombies.
You all look pretty suave. I mean, you should have. Luckily, I don't appear on camera at that point.
You look shocking.
I'm driven down from Nottingham. We'll look to Rendezvous. Anyway.
I'm there moaning, and I did actually forget my phone. The bit where I said, "Can one of you?" I haven't got my phone because I did actually leave my phone somewhere. So that was some genuine frustration.
Love that graphic there with the 4 of us.
Yeah, that was trying to be like the Blur 13 era
Best
pop
of
art stuff. Yeah, on the best of. So all the episodes are named after the three episodes are named after the 3 fictitious Space Potatoes albums. So this is Potatoes in Space.
There's that guy. Look at him.
Yeah.
Nosy.
Yeah.
Fix your car. Stop looking at pop stars.
What was in your suitcase, Rick?
Fuck all. Nothing.
My bag had to change of
What
clothes
was in
that I
there?
wore later.
Hang on. I got something here because when we were setting up on the filming at my place here, Sean,
Yeah.
and you said, "Oh, you should cover up the Amazon box of tissues," and I put a thing over it in the background, and I look at that and just look at all the mess in the picture and think that's the one thing you picked on was
Yeah.
the Amazon
No,
box. It's like,
you know
what
why?
about the
Because
rest of the room?
Because I just thought all the comments would be saying, "Why does he need an industrial box of tissues?"
Oh, right.
Why does he?
Actually, that could have been funny though. And then Ricky's
No,
got the old
but-
train set in the background. That's
Do you know
a
what? I
shame.
think it was a timing thing as much as anything, because it was the sort of thing you'd buy when the pandemic hit, but we were supposed
Yeah.
to be pandemic.
Ah, right. I see what you
I
mean.
think that was
Yeah,
it. I can't remember.
that was
There's
good.
my old
That was
band at
good.
the Roadhouse in Manchester.
Yeah, there's a familiar place.
Yeah.
Oh, mix there.
So, Chris, we should say there, Chris is sitting in what's meant to be his house, but that's actually Ricky's old place in London.
Yeah.
And that's actually Ricky's computer and everything. So he said, and if you look in the Monday lockdown thing, which is in episode 2, it's the same computer and keyboard and guitar rack and all that in the background
Yeah.
of Ricky, because that's actually his place. So
That's his.
And I'd had an emergency shave to give the impression of the passage of time. But unfortunately, I said to Ricky, how would you work this razor then? And he went, oh, yeah, you do that and do that. And then instinctively, he reset it. So I went in the bathroom while Ricky's being interviewed and went, oh, no.
took most of your beard off. didn't
I'd forgotten how to use it myself. Like, I had to think because we'd been in lockdown. I just hadn't really bothered to.
So that's why
use
I've
it.
got the world's worst shaved beard. It's just horrendous. Every time I watch it, I just think, oh, God. Look, I mean, there's all gravy on my face or something.
I shaved more in lockdown.
Well, Anna's asked whether there's any chance of bleeping Ricky's C word in the as in the trailer. The thing is, it's already out there now, so no. But the other thing is that's kind of like a barrier. If you can't cope with that, then don't watch the episode.
It's a filter. Yeah.
It is. I love this
Was
bit
this-
with the email. Hang on, we've just missed the bit with the email come round where it says that, and that if people pause that and actually read the email, we're discussing the first
Oh, it's
ever Graham
brilliant, yeah.
Coxon single that came out, and Chris has written to me enthusiastically, and then I write to him and say, "Well, you get up way too early," which is the sort of thing we would have done had we have known each other then.
Yeah. And it was actually dated the date of the single as well. You did that, didn't you?
Yes, it is dated the date of the single, so I got all of that right. And that's a composite, because obviously we didn't know each other then, so that's 2 old
Is
pictures.
it? Really?
Yeah. I think it looks pretty good, though. You
It
know?
does. It's just funny because that's on my stag do, and I'm like,
Yeah, and I'm
Be
looking like a
careful about
miserable git.
selecting- You're careful about selecting those guitars on the rack behind you, if I remember rightly, as well.
yes, we did. We spent a bit of time making sure we have Ricky's 7 strings and 23 strings.
I love this clip of you, Ricky. You're with your long hair and you're playing your Fuse stuff, because that's from a video that I recorded for you.
Yes, I do remember.
Years ago.
In Paris, look at the state of me. Look. God, yeah.
So that's.
Oh,
We'll have to
good
play
on.
an old Fuse track on a Spadathon one time. And
Does
that's
Nick ever
Nick.
make
So
it-
I
is
should
Nick
say
in it at
Nick.
all?
Nick Marnie there, he had just had a picture come up there. So Nick was in a band called Juice with me, and before that he was in a band called Rome. And
There's Ricky.
There's
we
Ricky
kind
as a
of
sperm
made him
playing
leave.
drums.
Yeah, there's Ricky playing drums as a kid. And that's Ricky's dad, Dean. So that was all archive footage I had. So we tried to bring all that in. Really got good back in those days. So I started like doing demos by programming drums, and to be honest, that's never really changed. I still program.
Oh,
That's something that kind of really happened when I was 24, 25, and I Juice finished. I did start becoming very much a control freak and programming all the drums and all my demos, and anyone I was in a band with didn't get to play on any of the songs, and I played all the instruments, and they had to. And that's something I kind of 2 years later
imitating live.
regretted, and then the band, we actually recorded properly as a band, but I did do that for a small period of my life. And
Rock Follies.
what's that, Trev?
Hey, Kieran.
Rock Follies.
Ah,
Program years ago. All about, well, yeah, there's a bit in it about that. One of the BVs gets their voice.
People's
so,
regrets.
so this is Kieran. This is the first time you see Kieran. That's Emily's boyfriend, Kieran Payne, and he's
perfect
playing the
manager.
part of our manager.
He
He's
does it very
wonderful,
well. He
posh
does it
voice.
really well.
He does.
Yeah.
He's so good at this.
I've not met many managers, but most of them sounded like that.
I suggest what we need to do as a band and as a team is to move
Yeah,
forward.
product. We need to get product out there, and we need to.
If we're quiet, we'll hear this bit because this is a good joke. This one.
Fundamental part of the space potatoes. That's ridiculous.
I've known him since I was 19 years old, and you're saying I can't call him. Oh, it's actually in a minute. It's the old rendezvous joke, which actually was your contribution, Sean. Thank you for that. That was a one.
See that, Dave?
Yeah, I can see that.
Hey,
That was the logo upstairs at the Blackheath Halls. I'll send you over these stuff because we might be able to use them.
Absolutely, send it over.
I'd rather not spend the money.
Here we go.
So this is the translation. Yeah.
When we'll be back on the road. So, Ricky, can you speak French?
Me?
No.
Not a clue. I don't even know what the French word for rendezvous is.
So there we go.
Oh, love it. Love it.
You got the same top on there, Ricky.
Have you heard from Nick?
Probably.
Yeah, Ricky only had about three
t-shirts.
tops.
I only own, 3 of the same shirts.
We've got the train set there behind you, Rick.
Oh,
It's just gone.
snappy editing.
So did
This footage here of Nick is from the garage in Islington, I think, which is a
I was going to
juice.
say,
that was
Nick
juicy.
doesn't actually feature in a band in the film other than in archive, does he?
No, he doesn't. He's only in archive. I was at one point going to do an interview with him, and we were going to get him into some music videos, but COVID didn't permit that, and he's a teacher and family and all that, and he didn't really want to be breaking rules, and I didn't want him to break rules, so
Fair enough.
that never really happened. But Series 2, he might come in.
mixed at the garage a few times.
It's a nice venue.
They've done it up now. It actually looks quite nice. They've done it up.
Used to be well powerful in it. Grip here.
They've gotten rid of that stupid low... You remember the low ceiling, Dave?
Remember what I said about tangents? Jeez.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's
Nice
Nick
fun.
leaving again in my car.
Oh, there's Nick leaving again.
Dave's filming this on my camera. which
Ricky's disappeared. He's just switched his camera.
is that enough? So
All
here
right,
go,
so now we
interesting here.
introduce the therapist.
Yeah.
So if you were to disclose
So,
to me you were going to make a credible
This is
Did she do-
this
is that
is.
her own voice?
I've altered her voice to disguise it and blurred her out because she didn't want to be in it, but she is a real therapist and she couldn't actually be listed for real reasons. Although I don't think it would take too much time to hunt down who she is, and it's not really a problem.
Okay.
But I just wanted to get it for accuracy. I wanted to get the idea that someone was cracking up, and I wanted it to be, medically correct, so to speak.
Did you get anything out of it, Dave? Was there any sort of side benefits of doing that scene?
Not really. No, I was just because I know her.
Yeah.
So it was catching her out when I'd say things that are not me. So when I'd say something and she's like, okay, that's a real reaction.
Monday and that very first album, Potatoes in Space. Talk to me about that time.
That was a great time because, the world was ours. We didn't have any hang-ups on over anything. It was us versus the world. With Dave came in as this
picture there's from Rogue Studios.
Great lyrics.
and he was great. He was a
lyrical genius. La 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 la.
Really, really positive stuff, and I felt like we were
doing that. It's quite effective. I did that with the band name as well, which you'll see later. And all that is I love this because we just have a go at James Blunt.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that chart. Crazy Frog, James Blunt. I mean, what were you mixing at that time? 2005, Trev?
2005.
Yeah. There was a lot of shit out, really, wasn't there?
That
There's
would have
always a
been.
lot of shit out.
I toured with James Blunt actually, probably around that time.
Oh,
And at that time, I was mixing the Hoosiers.
Yeah,
I remember
that
them.
would have been around that kind of time.
Game about Ray, what was it?
They were a great band, then.
Goodbye, Mr. Ray. Yeah.
Yeah, great band.
But I think Chrissy's comment where he says there, it's like straight out the door, boom, you just get in there and bang it. That's kind of what the 90s did. It was no nonsense. A lot of it was no nonsense, in your face stuff, and Space Potatoes.
I think I might have took that off Noel Gallagher or something I saw about what he said, but I might not have done. I don't know.
This is where we talk about the producer. And of course, we call the producer Stefan Koldisak. Because Blur's producer was Stephen Street.
I thought because he had cold knackers.
There he is.
So that's my friend Jan, Stefan Koldisak, his name's Jan Jensen. Listen! And he played drums in a band that I was in. So this is all old archive footage of when I was recording him. And this is the same band that I was in with him. Kind of when I was 25, 26, something like that. And I'm actually standing up on a stool for some silly reason.
Always makes me laugh, that bit. What's he doing?
But obviously with the magic of editing, we made Jan look like he was the producer, not the drummer.
Looking at that, I do miss the old days of Rogue.
Yeah, it was a lovely studio. It really was.
So many laughs up there. It was so good.
I'll be honest with you, I'm glad I don't own it now because of the pandemic and all that. I'd be owing
rent
of
course.
But
we had some good times up there.
It was wonderful, and it was nice to get that archive footage in there. Where are we at?
Dave is the producer.
This guy was
a little eye roll there.
Little eye roll. Dave is the producer.
Dave is the producer.
Considering I made loads of that up, loads of it was just off the top of my head as we went, right, we need to film this bit. Okay, and just went, and it just all came out.
Yeah, there wasn't much
classic moments.
Was there? Yeah.
Just in my head, I think, slag Dave off. Slag Dave off. That was just running around in my head.
And yeah, it was really well. So no one's ever questioned me on that. I think I now fucking produce the album.
Yeah, Stefan. He's a guy you look forward to seeing. You just can't fault the guy. He's great.
We had a whole storyline, Chris, didn't we, about group therapy, about the band. Stefan bringing
but could we not even get through the words because it was like I'd say, and we did pottery, and I was making up all this stuff.
Making up all these events we were doing, and you were laughing, and I actually mentioned that in the therapist scene when she says, "Have you had therapy before?" And I say, "Oh, we did have group therapy with the band," and that was meant to be a reference to that storyline, which never actually happened. Which
a lot of great stuff on the second album.
That's all me guitars.
Fucking hell, guitar shop.
The thing I love about this, you'll see it, if you join the members area, you'll see it. There was a bit, I gave Ricky the reference. I said, imagine your Guy Pratt being asked what it was like to have played on Dark Side of the Moon by a journalist that clearly hasn't done their research. And I said, be polite, but be frustrated. And I love the idea that usually in a music documentary, you talk to the people who make the albums, but we've got in this bit where the guy that never did it, it's like twisting it all round.
Yeah.
And you two do it brilliantly. I mean, Sean, the way you're like, oh, right, okay.
Well, tell me about the second album.
I weren't on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a songwriter, right?
And then here we have the bit. Let's all be quiet for a second to hear Ricky's clip of Tears Will Fall.
Start contributing more towards the songwriting aspect.
Sound asleep, wash away with you.
There you were, young and slim, playing Tears Will Fall. Where did that get to in Germany? Because that was a real single that did chart, didn't it?
It did get to number one on the Germany's biggest music video chart.
Oh, it was the music video chart.
Yeah, it wasn't like the official chart, like music chart. It was the official music video charts or something.
Okay.
And
but it was a massive film.
Yeah, it was great. It beat Lady Gaga, Elton John, and someone else or something. Kylie Minogue, I think it was, to the number one video spot.
And I got to say this, just
someone famous at the premiere, wasn't it? No, sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, that's episode 3. I've got to say this because this is hilarious. When I rang up Ricky and I went, "Have you got a copy of your song you can send me?" He went, "No, I ain't got it." I had to get it off YouTube because he didn't even have a copy of his own single that was like number one in the video charts.
If I need shares in Nurofen,
I don't need any of that shit.
So here's your bumhole song, Rick.
All I want from you is sex.
Birds.
So you're reading that off my phone. I know he tried his hardest. He really tried his hardest, but when he played it to me, I just didn't know what to say. And in the end, I just left it to Chris to tell him.
We can meet up and go out on dates, but I'll always prioritise a night with my mates.
Fucking right.
Oh, Mr. Howard, what's happened?
See, I love when you say you might have a great bummo and the face.
The face.
That, there it is.
That is brilliant.
Tolerate your fucking mouth. It's simple. Get out of my house.
Get out of my house.
How can I explain? I'm the one to blame. My heart capsized and now is sank. I'd rather have a fucking wank.
I can just do all the music for Oh, Mr. Howard.
Yeah.
Stick that in your pipe.
So yeah, no, I like this. I like that a little bit. So we've got any questions here of people?
No.
Hello to all the people who have joined us on the stream.
That was the classic edit there, though, Dave. You're skating over the absolute genius.
Oh, what there?
Yeah. That was a rubbish song, and then it's.
And then I say, yeah, I want to be original, and then it goes to no, which is obviously just song 2.
Bang. Yeah.
It's just that's.
June or July. Now, when we've got something back from both, and we've got some other dates.
Right, there's a bit of symbolism in this one because Kieran's talking about us all.
Getting back on the road,
possibly going back on the road, but we're having a laugh. In a minute, it finishes with a collage of all of us laughing over the music from No Time to God Above. And in episode 3, when the crew are all taking the piss out of me, it then ends with a collage of all of them laughing without me to the same music. And it's like how things have moved on because we were all laughing together as a group at the beginning, and then by the end, it's kind of the backstabbing bit, and it's kind of like they're meant to mirror each other as bits. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but
yep.
Also, fucking didn't.
There's a side point to that as well, which is, of course, back then he's talking about, we think we'll be back on the road in a month and stuff. A year on, we now know that wasn't the case.
That wasn't the case.
Nobody knew anything like that, did they?
On a one-to-one level like this, but I was involved once in some group therapy. That's where I mentioned the group therapy, which obviously never came up as a storyline, but it was enough to. The funny thing is she was asking me questions because that's her job. That took me off what I wanted to do. I had my iPad in front of me with bits of script that I'd written myself of things that I wanted to get to, and I wanted to get to the bit where I was like, "Don't you know who I am? Haven't you heard of me?" And she was asking, "Have you had therapy before?" And I'm thinking, how can I transition? Have you had therapy before through to don't you know me? And then it was like, well, I had some with the band, a group therapy, because I'm in a band. You know I'm in a band, right? Don't you know? And then but anyway. But it was quite hard sometimes. That was about 2 hours of recording.
That section, though, was brilliant because it's that, it's a bit worrying, because it's that thing of like, I'm famous, you should know who I am. It's a great little scene. That. I really like that bit.
Just 2020 rendezvous.
Pretty shit.
Those are the actual words.
2020 rendezvous, you and me and you. 2020.
This video was fun.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's got Nick and Ricky in it, but Nick is from archive footage, and Ricky's actually me. I filmed myself a green screen doing the drums and stuff, and I overlaid the some CGI drums in it, and I'm there doing pretending to beat from behind. I had my hair out like Ricky used to have when he had long hair when he was younger, and tried to make myself look like him, and I gingered up a bit, and just because we couldn't get together to film, it was impossible.
Have a ginger up.
I had a ginger up, yeah.
Mobile technology and stuff like that, and I just thought, that's going to be a utopia year.
I rang up Chris one day and I said to him, we need a song.
Dave, what are your guitars behind you there? People might be interested.
I had my Blue Flower Telecaster because almost everything of it was played on my Blue Flower Telecaster. And, the second of my Blue Flower Telecasters. And my 58 Strat, because how could I have anything else?
Kind of went for this disco vibe.
And Chris has got that Blue Mustang there. Is that my or your Blue Mustang?
That's mine.
My
Mustang, my Jazzmaster, your Mustang, your 64 Mustang, your Telly Deluxe, Ricky's bass, your SG, and I think there was a Strat as well of Ricky's maybe on that.
Maybe the old black Strat,
I would have.
That was mine and then Dean's and then mine and then Dean's. I actually auditioned.
Yeah. Here it is, that very guitar.
That guitar there, Ricky.
Nice.
The thing about the scene filming in Ricky's bedroom and stuff was it was cramped because we were Sean was kind of half perched on the bed and Dave was stood up. Ricky was in the other room, and it would be a case whenever you see me go, it's because I'm looking to Dave for like, was that all right? You know, and there's some scenes where Dave looks across because I was sat on his couch trying so hard not to laugh at his pompous ass that he was some of the stuff he was coming out with. I was just.
Oh, I love that EU bit of that.
Yeah, the EU, and we tell them there that it's 2020 Rendezvous, no distancing between me and you, borderless like the EU. And it's...
I stand by it as a great song. Outside of the film, it is still a good song.
I think it's a good song as well. Obviously, I don't in this, but I think it's a good song. And I think there were people who came up to me after watching the episode. They went, "Oh, it's great the way you got that to match up, you know, and put that in as a storyline." And I was like, no, we had that right from the beginning when we wrote the words to the song. We knew the story. I mean, of course we did.
It was the second day that song was written.
Yeah.
From the initial idea, it was the following day.
So this bit here, I've got to give a shout out to Sean for this, because this bit here, I'm pointing at my screen over here, is the number one thing from the official chart company. And I cringe at this because you can see me desperately trying to cover up the name on it, because it's actually got Sean's name on it from the Sausage Roll song. And I'm there trying to hold it in every way I can without showing the fact that...
Here's a side bit. On the way home, I got home about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I opened the door to get some of my kit out, and that just fell clong onto the floor. 2 o'clock in the morning outside. Sat next door's dog off, going, and it's got a little ding on it.
Oh no!
It's on the back.
Well, as I said in this, in fact, one of my favourite bits, which is kind of overlooked, I've never heard anyone laugh at it, but one of my favourite bits is where I go, "Oh, you can 3D print this now." Yeah, I'll let the others have one, as if I hate the song. But I'm still keeping the award for it, you know. And, it's like, and I really haven't heard much reaction to that. So I could I'll 3D print one for you as well, Sean. Do your swap.
Sharon says she's craving Walker's sausage roll crisps now.
Walker's sausage roll crisps. I didn't even know we did that.
Oh, they did it as a special edition for the sausage roll song.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
Oh, mate, I had multi-packs of them.
Did you?
So just to fill in for context.
Do you still have some?
Sorry, we're tangenting here. Go back
I was going to say, just to fill in for context, Sean did a song which now 3 years in a row has been number one. They've done a different song themed around sausage rolls, and
Christmas number one,
should I say, and to raise money for charity. And he's done the videos for those songs with Lad Baby. So
I should have 3 of those number one things.
You should have 3. You only got one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
With a dint in it.
They're about 400 quid or something. So
do they not know who you are, Sean?
Really not.
But it was great to have that as a prop.
Yeah, it was good. It's good.
Because Chris is.
Well, you reference it in the initial thing that we did. I'm seeing number one awards and Ferraris, gold records. So it all sort of connects.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, to be honest, I actually thought of that when I was thinking of Ricky's house and the gold records and stuff, as much as anything. And I was thinking, we see some of that in a documentary, then that's the sort of thing.
Well, you do in the Monday live streaming. You see it in the background of Ricky and his bit with the gold.
When we were discussing it and thinking what to film, I was thinking, there's going to be a scene where we have those in, and there's going to, so I was thinking, right, what can we talk about that we have had filmed or whatever.
You can see 1/4 of one there.
You seem offended that I may not know of you.
That's it.
No, I mean, the reality is there's 7 billion people. That line there where I say about 7 billion people on the planet and, we've only sold X number of million albums, so more people didn't buy it than did buy it, is nicked directly out of Francis Rossi's autobiography, where he claims that people say Michael Jackson's the most successful artist selling on the planet. He said more people haven't bought his albums than have, so if you chart success by that, and he makes it, I don't think he's been miserable. I think he makes a good point that people look at, even the most famous person isn't that famous.
Well, I basically came up with the name one evening. I think someone said space and someone else said potato.
And I think the real genius behind the name is not the space or the potato. It's the fact that I pluralised it. That's my handwriting on a bit of paper, and I'm just taking pictures
with
with
this
my phone.
idea of Ricky coming up with the name of the band there and that at the time, didn't we?
We did come up with it, although he did come up with the name
He did come
of the
up with
band.
it.
Yeah,
and then originally we were going to have it that he didn't, and then it was like, well, what if he did, but then didn't? You can see that in the members area. There's the whole bit where we're constructing that's all in the members area to watch. But yeah, Ricky did come up with that, and I did pluralise it. But unlike the film, I'm not taking credit for it. That was a good idea, Ricky. You just said it, didn't you? You just went, space potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what the fuck we were talking about.
But it's just an initial chat that we had.
Oh, that picture there where you and Ricky at the O2 there, that was when we did the orchestra gig. We were playing with an orchestra at the O2.
Yeah, it was. Summer 16, that was.
Can I get some
Oh, God.
This footage here is backstage at Wembley on the Dean Howard band tour. And that's
fucking hell, Dave, you look about 9.
And that's I was 25 then, and I was arguing with Andres. So the
Andres calls you a twat very quietly as you leave.
Yeah, Andres, who's on my own and being in my safe place.
Hi,
I sent
Andres.
that to invade.
All right, Sping and a Bing, if you're watching.
There's Ricky eating.
There's Ricky. I've got so many pictures of you.
Oh, I've got that cap in my boot still, Ricky, as well.
The Make America Great Again
That was on the
cap.
day of filming.
Yeah, you can keep that one.
That's mine. I want it back.
Have it back. Next time I see you, it's yours.
You know me. I love to wear my Trump hat. Really over enthusiastic on tour. That was bought for me, ironically, obviously. He gets really excited.
Made in China inside it, of course.
He's been up since fucking 6 a.m. or whatever time he gets up. There's a great picture of you, Ricky, I love in Vegas that I took of you where you're next to the Zoltar machine from Big, the one he goes up to and says, I wish I was big.
Wish I was small. Yeah. After that, I think we went straight into Planet Hollywood or something. When it was for
a massive meal, yeah. This bit here where I'm talking about Chris coming and stuffing her face in a phone and annoying me in the morning, it's absolutely true.
Yeah, oh, completely, yeah.
All of that's
Dave
just
rolls
real.
in the afternoon and I've checked something out and it's new and I need to, Dave, look at this. And he's like, oh.
Yes, so he does annoy me a lot.
Making Dave, I wouldn't be with him if he wasn't that.
Do it to Jenna, so don't worry about it. You're in good company.
They're a bit chalk and cheese. You know, if Chris likes one thing, Dave won't like it. But if Dave likes one thing, Chris will go against it, sort of thing. So it's, you know, they're never on the same page.
Quite pleased with that framing, actually, because we didn't have a lot of room to work with.
No, you were really like in the corner, weren't you? Like crouched
Yeah,
down, trying to get.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'll go and talk to Chris
But
about
Ricky's
it.
arm coming forwards towards the lens, quite nice.
I've got to apologise though. I've got to say, Sean, when I watch back some of the footage, and you can see it in the members area where we're talking, I just am just barking orders and shouting, and people are trying to come in with things like, well, why don't we do it? Yeah, it's great, right, let's move on with this. And I'm just being everything that I'd hate about my character, I kind of did become at times. So I apologise if I was ever rude.
No, but when you...
Yeah, but you had the thing. It was all in your head.
You had a vision and
Yeah.
you wanted to
I
see it
suppose so,
through. I don't have a problem with that.
You know how Christians go around, God people go around with the wristband on saying, what would Jesus do, right? And they say, what would Jesus do? Well, it was like virtual, because obviously I didn't have a wristband. It would cost too much to get a load of wristbands made up. But I kind of went around with a virtual
Cheapskate.
wristband on that said, what would Graham do? So that came from a real thing with Radiohead. I saw, that's your
my
mate
friend,
Jamie
Jamie
doing
Wilkinson.
the reconstruction of Graham Coxon there, isn't it?
Yeah, Jamie Wilkinson.
So he's there. But one of the Radiohead guitarists gave an interview basically saying how much he loved Graham Coxon. And in the early days of Radiohead, he pretended he had a wristband on like the Christians have with What Would Jesus Do, but he had one on saying What Would Graham Do? So I nicked that off of him. I read that in an interview in a magazine somewhere when I was like 16. And
Is that Johnny Greenwood?
Yeah, he loves Graham Coxon. And he basically... Who doesn't? Yeah, he's amazing. I love Graham Coxon. So this whole bit here with the fake and a fraud bit is a complete fake and a fraud, because I actually had in my scripted bit where I was saying I feel like a fake and a fraud and blah, blah, blah. And then when I watched it back, we had a little crack up of the Zoom call. And then she comes back to me with the fake and a fraud. And it sounded like she was calling it to me. And I thought, I can really rejig this and make it funnier than it was. And then I rang up Chris and was like, we've got to do this other bit. So that kind of came out of a Zoom call error. Because I had this whole poor me, I feel like a fake and a fraud thing. And then I turned it around to something else, which is fucking ridiculous.
What's going on?
Look at me beard.
Basically, it's just telling fucking jokes that I'm a shit version of Graham Coxon. That's what he's saying to me. He said, you're a shit version of Graham Coxon. And that's just what I want to fucking hear after my therapist has just told me I'm a fake and a fraud. And now a fucking Northern Dwarf wants to find it funny to embarrass me. There's your old camera there.
Yeah.
Lovely camera. He didn't say anything. So we're bleeping who we're talking about there. And that wasn't done for any particular reason other than to make it seem a little bit more mysterious, I think.
Yeah.
Get people wondering. Ricky's got company.
You know what we're talking about, don't you, Trev?
No.
It was Gaddy.
Yeah.
We were pretending that Gaddy had changed my name on Zoom as a joke, and I was fuming. And I said Northern Dwarf.
Right. Now I get it.
But Bonnie thought it was him. It's funny.
I thought it was a different Northern Dwarf.
Hello, Jill.
Mum says hello.
Hello.
And that's when I do shit to him, like it's Facebook and it's on tour. It's
Next
not
time we'll have your mum commentating on it.
professional. It's not Zoom. It's not. I'm not going on his fucking LinkedIn page and changing that or changing his website. This really reminds me, you do get quite a bit of that on tour, where someone will play a joke on someone, and then someone will play a joke back, and then they won't find it funny, and they'll try and find a justification for why it's. It was funny when I did it, but it wasn't funny when they do it to me. You must see a lot of that on the crew bus, Trev. Oh, you're not on the crew bus, are you? Our bus.
Oh, it's with us.
But within the crew and you must see a lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, we all know someone who loves to dish it out but can't take it.
Yeah, within the band, there's a bit of that.
Certain person.
Definitely. It was only a matter of time.
I like being on the band bus.
Good.
As long as you're not.
We love you being on the band bus.
Yeah.
Quieter.
Let's face it. So it's kind of like. See that bit there where you're kind of looking at me like, Dave, I can't believe you're not getting that.
Yeah.
That was chopped out of a completely different bit. I had to find a bit where you had the right facial expression for it, but it works really nicely, I think.
Here's me really early in the morning looking like death.
God, flock of seagulls.
I know.
What kind of talk is that?
Just
half a flock of seagulls.
Voice up because I sound
I think
like,
I overdid it. I tried to make my camera look like it was a shit webcam and make it all blur and slightly out of time to make it look like we were doing some really bad, stream. And I think I overdid it a bit.
Detuned his strings,
Unplugged his lead.
slapped his last low E.
His channel's muted. If we hadn't nailed him... A couple of my friends came back and said this was one of their favourite bits. And then I said, oh, it's a parody of the Monty Python parrot sketch. And they went, what's that?
Oh, no.
He's run down the curtain and joined the choir.
We've done the Python bit, mate. We've done it.
He'll be remembered in our hearts forever for his funny voice.
Hello. So Nick does in real life. He's kind of got this voice and he talks like that. And he did actually once come into the rehearsal room and he was there with his muscles going in the mirror going, I'm quite surprised I haven't been signed up for a modelling agency yet. And me and Andrews were like, what are you talking about? And he kind of had that thing and he'd go, no, that's bollocks. I'm not doing that. So that's an in-joke that you wouldn't know, but, there's
the thing is, I've only ever heard Nick talk once.
He did come on a Spadathon once, didn't he? Then send us a video.
Yeah, but he didn't sound
for about 2 minutes, but then he had a maths test. You had to go.
Show us how you play.
He kept bringing out basses he bought.
Once we've picked some potential spice.
Love Nick.
We'll have an audition in person, probably by Zoom first.
And hopefully, you'll be oven ready for us.
Isn't that what Boris Johnson said about his Brexit plan?
I meant spicy wedges.
I remember writing that in the bath with my phone. In fact, all the bits of script that I wrote were written in the notes in my iPhone, probably while in the bath or in bed.
They're worth millions now. Oh, wait, up there's me dad.
There's your
Here
dad.
he is.
All our
The
lads are in
legend
it. So
himself.
we've had Ricky's dad and Chris's dad. That's Joel there. Is that friend of Lily's?
It's Lily's friend, Joel.
The legend, Mike himself.
And then we've
Eric.
got your friend,
Yes.
Sean.
Who I've never met. It was a friend of a friend. He's
Friend of a friend.
That is a lovely bass. I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I think the bass player from The Cure, I think he uses a bass like that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got promised
It's a bit
about
Peter
6
Hook,
of
isn't
these,
it?
and that's the one that came through.
So nice. I came close to actually buying one of them.
That's Natasha.
Natasha.
Models.
Yeah.
I'm pretty hot, so why would you want a hot girl in your band?
She does that really well.
There's Joel. And there's Latifah, another one of Jenna's models.
Whoa,
And I haven't met them.
Live.
Sean hasn't met the one he got. I haven't met these. You can't say
her.
that, Ricky.
Ricky, you met her in London at that show.
Yep, lovely lady.
Here he is.
Worried what you're going to say.
And then
though.
there's Rich.
Yay.
Richie Roo. Now, Rich is a wonderful friend of mine. Incredibly funny guy, incredibly talented bass player. Doesn't really talk like that in any way. And he was also the celebrant at my dad's funeral as well, oddly enough.
And
But,
Kieran suggested that I send you a little video of me playing because I understand you're looking for a new bassist.
Dave, explain the wine thing then. Explain the wine thing.
well, the wine thing, he just had...
Put the wine down every time.
Yeah, he's just... well, the directions that I gave him is... I gave him a couple of things that I wanted him to do. I wanted the Latin bit, and we had some other stuff which I can't remember, but there were some bits that I wanted him to do and that I kind of got as a bullet point. And then I kept on saying, while you're talking, I want you to imagine that you're making your own soundtrack. So as you say something that you think's interesting, you do a little doo-doo like that to kind of... You know, in a sitcom, someone walks in a room and there's a little ident music.
It's parodied in Family Guy where he gets his own ident every time he stands
Absolutely, yeah, he gets his own. So he's kind of doing his own, and I was telling him to do that. So there were certain points I wanted him to hit, but then he freewheeled and went off on his own thing, and it was hilarious. And then I basically did a whole take of him doing that, and then said, can I do another take as well? Let's just do the whole thing again. And then he did all the bits I wanted him to do again, and then freewheeled again. And that's why it's so chop, 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 because it's just these little 5-second gems all just thrown together. And
so good.
He is
His
hilarious.
bass playing is just incredible, isn't it?
I'll give him credit. You know, he's the reason why I went out and bought a 5-string bass, because when we was watching B Sharp, Dave, Upshoot as Ill.
Yep.
I was like, that's just, I need to buy a 5-string. He was just so good. And I was like, I need a 5-string in my life.
So it's his fault.
It's his fault and that's when I was like, no, I'm going to play the Gazosberg gig.
If you
with
connected
my
the
5-string.
The original
ambiguous tuning.
What's that?
You could cover a lot.
He could, yeah. So we were originally going to have him in it more because the original plan wasn't to kind of do it all via Zoom and be in lockdown. We were actually going to get into a room and be planning us going back out. And then, of course, that never happened. And, of course, we couldn't actually get in the room because the November lockdown came in. So Rich was actually going to be coming in and we were going to have him trying to learn the songs and him being totally inappropriate for the band. And then we were going to use that whole rule of 6 thing that was around at the time to basically kick him out the band because we couldn't have that many people. And of course, when we couldn't meet up,
I was going to be allowed in the room, but he wasn't.
But he wasn't. Even though he's in the, but no, it was going to be 4 members of the band plus you plus Dean plus Kieran the manager, and we could get rid of Dean, which is Ricky's dad, but we'd rather get rid of the bass player than just Ricky's dad. There was all sorts of little things, but of course that all had to be shelved because the November lockdowns.
There was one plot line at one point where I was going to get the job as bass player.
Well, that was originally the ending.
Yeah, it was.
The original ending of it was when he left. You were going to put the camera down, and it would be the first time you got seen in it. You were going to come up and play and hit the first note for the song, and we were going to end it like that. But that might be the end of the second series, so we should keep that quiet.
Never mind.
There are ideas that we were going to do in the first one that we've now going to move to the second. Because personally, I actually like the way it went with the darkness of it all.
Yeah, completely.
I think it's
far better.
Summed up 2020 much better. So out of the problems of not being able to do certain things, we ended up with a better product.
Then I'm sure we will.
Yeah, completely.
I love this bit. Ricky's so sure we're going to be back out in June, all positive. And then it's 2020 is cancelled from Kieran.
Postponed until next year. Naturally, I'm working as hard as I can, trying to get in touch with as many promoters as possible to see what we can do. But right now, bottom line is we won't be performing in 2020.
If you need to make some money, get the band out on the road. You can't get out on the road at the minute, though. So, what's going to happen now?
Yeah, really good question. And look, we do have some plans in place. So we're going to be releasing a best of the Space Potatoes, and I still think there's a market for that kind of product. Look, forgive me, but whatever happens, we're not going to be able to make up for the loss of earnings on the live shows. But if we're able,
that's all very true. Much as this is fictional, a lot of this stuff is
completely. It's based in reality. Yeah.
I mean, as all of us here can testify, we've all kind of lost work.
We're all skint.
It's been screwed over by this.
We need to sit tight for a bit. This is a difficult situation for everyone.
I love this bit of pedantry from me. How does one keep going and stand still? That's the kind of thing I actually would do in an important meeting. Start pulling someone up on a pedantic point rather than.
Sometimes my metaphors and sentences will fall awry. It's a tough situation for me. I'm trying to keep everyone sweet.
What a legend he is.
And then the cancellation notice, which goes bang. Which is sad, because that's basically what happened to a lot of bands. And then we get the appearance of Trevor, which actually is because he's in the second episode, but it's the coming up in episode 2, which you get from Trevor in a second. There we go. So just for all you people at home, if you haven't seen it, Trevor then comes up and takes over as our label boss. He was our sound guy, but he takes over as the label boss and hasn't a clue what he's doing.
Oh no, Ricky's asking me for money. Ooh.
So another thing.
Under Satana.
See how it pans out.
And there we go, a little clip of the Monday acoustic version. There's coming up, and there's me not lighting the joint. Bang. And it's gone. And then you get the credits.
Way!
Very good.
Which is very, very nice. And at the end of the credits, after the credits, there's always a little afterthought moment. If you ever didn't get that far and you saw the credits and just turned it off, you're missing out. And this is the remix version of 2020 Rendezvous that you can find on the album Best of Space Potatoes, which you can buy at 2020rendezvous.com on vinyl and download, as well as all the
6 million executive producers.
Yeah, so all the executive producers there are all the people who pre-bought the album and made donations and whatever. And then we've got the extra special thanks as well for the people who contributed what we would consider an over-the-top amount. And they change from episode to episode, because some people bought afterwards, and then some people contributed more to one episode than another, so I would put them in. And so, for example, Dave Kersner, we put him in there because he gave us a load of stuff from IK Multimedia, which was lovely. I don't even know if he's seen it yet or not. And then,
is it disappointing?
In what way? Disappointing we're not on the road? Not really. And most people haven't seen that bit because they switch off before the credits. But so yeah, I'll go back to the other window where we don't have the video. You can see all of us. So that's the first episode. Bit of commentary. Nice one, lads. I hope everyone.
I haven't watched it in a while. It was good.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it since we did it. So let's have a look. Anyone got anything they want to say? If you want to ask any questions, now is the time. And then we'll do another one of these for episode 2 soon, and we get Trevor being introduced as the label boss, and we also get the crew being introduced, and we also get Lorelei in as well. So might see if we can bring Lorelei in on the next one as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Get to talk to her.
Keeping up with it.
So Beck says, nice, that was interested, thank you. Brian says, inspired chaps. Also, he says, what? Fictional? As if he thought the whole thing was real.
Not all of it was fictional.
Yeah.
Ignore some of Jenna's comments because Flossie had the phone. So
I saw that and I was thinking,
I thought she'd be on the source.
stuff as you know the you up okay look as yeah, that's from Flossie.
So Gage has asked, how did we pick the cast? Well, I mean, obviously, the first person I called was Chris. The second person I called was either Ricky or Sean, and the third person I called was either Ricky or Sean, whichever way round they go. I can't fully remember.
We're interchangeable.
Yeah, so it was, and it was probably whoever answered the phone first and whatever. But so that was pretty quick, and then we had. I rung up Rich then and basically said, we're going to try and get in a room and do it as a band, and we want a really inappropriate bass player. So he was meant to be a lot bigger part of it than he ended up being just because of COVID, but we'll try and get him in for Series 2 to do something. I've got some ideas there. And then Trevor, I remember speaking to Trevor and going, well, we're going to do this, and when we're all in the room, we need a sound guy or whatever, and so you can come in and do your sound guy bit because you are a sound guy. And some of the crew guys and whatever was asking them to come down and basically do the same. And then of course it all got called off because of lockdown. So
you were at the stage of booking hotels and everything.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
We were going to be booking hotels and doing all sorts of stuff, and so we ended up, changing the plot slightly and doing all of that. So the cast kind of wrote itself, and then various ideas came up, and you think, who can do this, who can do that? So originally we had our friend George, which you see in episode 2. He was meant to be the label boss, and I don't think he'd mind me saying this because he's put it on Facebook himself publicly. He had a heart attack. He didn't have COVID. He had a heart attack, which was very, very sad. And he basically was like, I'm sorry, lads, I can't really do it. I need to rest. I can't get involved. And at the time, we were actually, when I got that news, we were on a spadathon between songs. And I remember at the time just saying, well, Trevor, do you want to take it over? We'll have the plot line that George has got COVID and he's asked you to take over, and that can be funny. So because Trev had started coming in on the spadathons more and more and was very much part of the team, it then seemed like, well, okay, Trev can take that over. And then Trev ended up in other scenes in episode 3 where he's doing the crisp steel thing and stuff like that. And that really worked. And that's nothing against George. I think George would have worked brilliantly, but Trev's been here every week on the spadathons and it's been a really lovely thing to work with him. Plus I do send him things and he gives me criticisms on mixing and whatever, because he's a sound guy. He'll come back with ideas and I'll chop the intro of that and whatever. So it's a wonderful kind of addition to the team. So Trev kind of came in a bit later as a main player, but as kind of
he's always
really,
been there.
really important. Yeah, he's always been there in a minor way, but he came in more later on when it was clear George couldn't do anything. But that still wasn't too late. That was kind of November time, wasn't it? It wasn't like it was like January or anything like that.
No, it wasn't. No, and I think because Trev knows it from the inside, he could just jump in. It wasn't like he's got to learn loads of background or anything because he already knew everything. So it was. In fact, what I was surprised about is we did our first scene with Trev, and I was going like in my head, I was going, God, he's really strict. I didn't expect him to be like. It's like just completely changed. Right, I needed to do well, and I'll be watching you, and all this stuff. And I was like, oh shit, it was really good.
Yeah.
In fact, you even said it. Is this a new authoritative Trevor?
I did. I was blown back. When is this the new authoritative Trevor? I was really blown away by it.
It's really shocking.
Because a lot of there were bits of it that were scripted and bits of it that weren't. Particularly in the second and third episode. The first episode has less of the scripted stuff because it's made up of more of what we filmed with Sean on that first day, which was kind of improvisations with us barking orders at each other in the background. Whereas by the time we get to episode 3, most of it is scripted, and I'd say episode 2 is half and half. But the bits with Trev, they were all set up as, right, this is the scenario, this is where we're going to go. But he just chucks in these little jokes and these little bits, and it's the noises you make when you go, like that, and just say a word with that, and it would just have you in hysterics. And so I'm so glad that
didn't know I was doing it.
But you'll see all that in episode 2.
I have to say, a true highlight of the entire sort of Zoom scenes that we did was the crew chat night, where there was the crew and me and Ricky. Dave was there, but filming, but not on screen, and that just went from being a bit stiff at the start and a bit like, oh right, okay, what about? And then it just got going, and then. Oh God!
I've got all that to put up in the members area. I need to kind of go through it and check that it's not
safe.
Too graphic and safe, because there were things in there that's probably a bit too much. So,
so funny.
That's why that's not up there yet. The crew chat, but most of it's in there, and it is really, really, really funny. And I didn't realise that the bit where you talk about shitting yourself and having a fight with your wasp basket wasn't actually part of the bit we were recording. That was just you chatting with the guys, and I whacked it in, and I never even asked you about that, Rick. Sorry about that, mate.
The thing about all of that is, and Gage has mentioned, it's a follow-up comment where he says everyone seems very natural in their parts, is that one of the sort of guiding principles that I know Dave and Chris were using was to sort of be the worst version of yourself. So you're kind of just being yourself, but the worst version of it, or the most extreme version of it, maybe.
Oh, there's so much of me in my character. I try not to be like that or as much of an arsehole, but almost everything I've put across, possibly with the exception of the stuff where I'm being nasty about not caring about people who are out of work and stuff like that, that's not me.
No,
but pretty much everything else where I want to take control and I want to be the producer and no one's going to touch my songs and I'll do all this. And, I am like that, really, but just hopefully a bit nicer.
Yeah, I think it is an exaggerated version of you. And Ricky basically played a version of Ricky. It wasn't, you're not, you've got more to say than that guy who just sits there and goes, well, I'll just take a wage and have a kebab and play with me trains. You'd got more about you than that. What I found difficult was the fact that as it progressed, Dave went, oh yeah, you're going to be a total arsehole. And I was like, what? And doing that night, Dave and I chatted for about 3 hours and filmed it, didn't we? And you picked bits out of that scene.
Yeah, we had a long conversation. So one bit, we should talk about this when we get to episode 3. Yeah, this is the next one. But there was one bit that even in that bit there, in the first episode, because a lot of that call where you and me are talking that goes all the way through was scripted. And when I was editing it, I was going through going, man, we're improvising this really, really well. And then we went, hang on a minute, go back to that line, and we're both scrolling up on the screen. I thought, oh, is this scripted? And then I looked at my phone and found the script, and so many months had passed, I'd forgotten it was scripted. And it was it's quite nice to come back to some of that.
Yeah, it's just some of the ground we covered that night, because once we've kind of got the meat and potatoes out of the way, we just went off and started talking and reminiscing and stuff. And all that was based in reality, really. Me talking about gigging with me dad and things like that. But yeah, the whole scene where you stick the knife in, it's difficult to watch. It is difficult to watch.
Well, we'll analyse that when we get to episode 3.
Brilliant.
And we got episode 2 to do. So just kind of end it here. Anyone got anything to say before they...
Thanks for involving me in this ACE project.
Thanks for being involved.
Same here. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for everyone getting involved. I mean, there's a big list of people at the end there that went up in the credits, and I thank every single one of them. I mean, people bought the album and helped us.
Thank you.
Thank you. It costs money to make, and I hope you've all got your vinyls, by the way. Available at 2020rendezvous.com. But yeah, thanks for everyone for being involved. I really want this to go somewhere, and if this series is just a warm-up and we do series 2 and that's the one that takes off somewhere, then that's just the way it has to be, but people who get that will then go back and watch series 1. I love it.
Yeah. Then you get those people who say, I like the first album. It's that kind of thing. I like the first series when they were real.
Yeah. So go and watch it.
Drugs got hold of them.
When we started this, I should say, we were on 1,994 views on episode 1. We're kind of doing this because it's around when we were going to hit 2,000. But I like the fact that it's 1994 views because that's when Park Life came out.
Yep.
So we're doing when we started this, it was...
But it's when I had my first wank, 1994.
And on that bombshell.
Yeah, I'm going to fuck off because my dinner's ready.
Lovely. Well, thank you, everyone. Been brilliant. We'll do another one of these in a couple of weeks with episode 2. And I'll see you on Sunday for the Spudder.
Nice one, guys.
You will.
Bye.